Hi there, my name is Matthew, and this interview is a part of our SASAH Alumni Outreach Project, where we reach out to our SASAH alumni and try to get a better understanding of what it's like to be a student outside of SASAH and what it's like kind of getting that insight into this very new type of learning and putting that to use in the real world. And today, I'm joined with Nikki Juranka, who graduated from SASAH, from Western in 2019, with a double major in political science and SASAH, as well as a minor in linguistics. And this fall, he'll be coming back to Western for law. How are you doing, Nikki?
I'm doing great, Matthew. Thank you for having me.
Of course. How's your quarantine been? How's that like for you?
It's been, at least relaxing. I've been able to, do some hobbies and projects and some research by myself. But I'm excited to be getting back to London, getting back into the student sphere.
Yeah, me too, for sure. Kind of trying to keep busy before everything starts rolling again. So I guess just to jump straight into the interview, I guess I'd love to hear what you had to say for the broad definition and description of what is SASAH. So in your own words, could you describe what is SASAH to you?
The $1 million question.
Yeah.
For me, what after 4 years, what I took away from SASAH was that it's an interdisciplinary, that's the big word, an interdisciplinary program that puts a lot of talented young people in a room, each with their own skill sets, academic lenses that they get from their other field of study. And it gives them interesting and challenging new material to tackle every semester in a really broad range of topics, but each one kind of a different flavor of what the arts and humanities has to offer.
Yeah, I agree, actually, and I really like that. I like how you said it was kind of a different flavor of what the arts and humanities has to offer. And I know that that kind of aspect of it being very interdisciplinary is huge for a lot of SASAH students. It's huge for me even. Looking at that, that was what I think really, I want to say, drew me to the program and what really appealed to me. So that kind of brings us into our second question in that case. For you, what do you think attracted you to the program?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I mean, going back to 2015 when I was looking at programs and enrolling, which is a long time ago, but I've always had like a really deep love for art. Like I've always loved writing, self-expression, but also just analyzing works and media. And so I didn't join Western with an arts degree, initially. I was joining hoping to do computer science. And so the ability to keep one foot in the arts and humanities sphere and to use those skills and still, immerse myself in that world as a double major was a really cool opportunity. Plus, there was a lot of other things about the program that really captivated me, like the idea of having a small cohort of, talented, outgoing people who I would be kind of growing up with during university. And all the leeway and extra opportunities that SASAH kind of gives in terms of travel and exchange opportunities.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree, for sure. Well said. I think looking back at SASAH for me, I know for a lot of students, and probably even for you, that small class size and being in the SASAH room is going to be like a primary kind of memory of what SASAH was like. I think that's so, I want to say, like it's a stamp of what SASAH means, So, yeah. So our next question then, I think is something really important a lot of people have like in mind. So people often think that the arts and social sciences are two very different types of learning, and that the arts is more, like not flowery, but that it's kind of like different sides of the spectrum, right? Well, for you, you did political science and SASAH. Those were your two majors. So I was wondering, how did you find kind of reconciling those two perspectives as you pursued your degree?
Well, I mean, I have a very limited perspective on this because I just did political science, and within political science, I mostly specialized in international relations. So a subset of a subset of a social science. And then SASAH itself kind of offers a unique learning perspective, I'd say, that maybe differs from other arts and humanities disciplines. But that being said, in political science, there's a lot of learning about arguments and theories, that theorists have come up with to explain the world in terms of power, and it deals with these giant concepts of like human rights, war, democracy, statehood, all these like really broad topics. But the way in which arguments were formed and the kinds of evidence that political science deals with was really useful when I was in the SASAH classroom, because I feel like the SASAH courses don't generally give you like really, hard-coded theories and arguments to learn or memorize. It's more about dealing with new material, new topics, new concepts. And so I was able to discuss power and bring these kinds of political science concepts to my SASAH learning. And because a lot of, especially my graduating year, a lot of our SASAH topics concerned Canada, but also Canada's relationships with Indigenous peoples, and broad topics like that, I was able to kind of borrow a lot of political science learning and kind of help bring a new perspective to the SASAH classroom. And in the same way, I'd say that SASAH demanded a lot of writing from its students. Like we had to, write not just a lot of essays and reflections, but we also had to just be creative and find a way to like self-express. And I think that helped in terms of my political science work. I think I was able to be a stronger writer when I had to. It wasn't like I was just writing one essay every semester. The constant just production that I would do in SASAH just helped keep my skills sharp.
Yeah, for sure. So then you kind of say then that they meshed really well and you were able to transfer the skills.
Yeah, I mean, there's some ways in which some SASAH courses were very removed from political science in terms of content. But
like ones.
Like some, we did the aesthetics, I think was the name of the course. It was a second year with Mick Murren. It was a philosophy course, and there's certain like concepts like that just don't come up very often in poli-sci. A lot of as deep as poli-sci usually goes in terms of philosophy or metaphysics. Oh, sorry, my internet connection might be unstable right now.
It's fine.
So the deepest they go is like these discussions of how concepts of human rights and states and democracy, how that can be applied in a real world sense. But actually interrogating those subjects like deeper and looking back at actual like philosophical writings is it's an intro to poli-sci kind of thing when you're talking about Plato and Aristotle, and then they kind of leave it behind. So so sometimes I had to stretch my my mind to work with the material. That's kind of what SASAH demanded from you, is to like you have to be flexible, you have to be willing to roll with the punches and learn new things you never thought you'd be learning. But on the other hand, SASAH also allows you to like apply your own tactics, your own perspective, and because of that, I didn't really feel like I was wasting my time in either poli-sci or SASAH, because I was able to channel one into the other and vice versa. Which is, I think that's why a program like SASAH works, is that it's not, it doesn't kind of box you in terms of what kind of, strategies and like learning you can demonstrate in the classroom or what kind of projects you can do. And because of that, I was able to properly self-express, I'll say. So,
yeah, no, that sounds really good. Yeah, thank you for that. So you kind of spoke about how those skills are kind of transferable or were transferable for you, and I want to say, kind of give you a very holistic education in that sense. So I was wondering, now that you're moving into law at Western, what do you think are some crucial skills that you think that you've learned in SASAH that you think are going to be very beneficial and crucial as you move into this new kind of pathway of your academic journey?
Well, I mean, when I actually start the law education, I'll have a better idea of what is demanded of me, because it's the thing that's kind of like shrouded in mystique, to make it in law school, So I don't know yet, but in terms of just the things I found like were strengths by the end of my 4 years that I think I can, that I owe to SASAH would be, first of all, like I was kind of saying, the ability to take on new material with an open mind and orient yourself, because there's a lot of, when you get to the university, there's a lot of people who, they're deep diving on their own specialties, their own, schools within the university, their own subjects. And, you kind of don't concern yourself with what other people are studying. And so it's, to be able to keep an open mind and to be able to sample all these different kinds of learning and meet interesting people. That was something I think SASAH helped me, keep alive within myself. But also working with a group and self-organizing and taking taking student leadership was something that I think SASAH kind of fostered within us. Like in our last year of studies, year 4, we my whole cohort self-organized into a full production crew. So we had all the titles, responsibilities, and everything that go along with that kind of organization. And because we made this documentary, so there's not very many programs that would kind of allow that. You could say demand or require that, but there was, it was a really cool experience. Something I don't think I would be able to get anywhere else. And it was self-led, but it was still professional. And there's something about the ability to take professional student leadership that I think SASAH helped me prepare for in the real world.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of moving into, I guess, the more fun side of SASAH, what do you think would be your favorite memory as a SASAH student? I know there's a lot, but just one.
Yeah, there's a lot of different experiences. I'm going to, touching on something I haven't yet discussed, which is the international component of SASAH that existed for me, which was I was able in third year to take a 1-semester exchange in Wales, and in my final year, my final few months were spent in Rwanda, volunteering in a center for homeless youth in Kigali, the capital city.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, so I'm going to just touch on the latter one here as my favorite memory. Just the entire trip was such a profound and fun experience that I don't think it was officially a SASAH run trip, but part of the point of SASAH is to put its students in touch with all these different cool opportunities and really facilitate them taking part. SASAH was able to double count this as a credit towards my SASAH degree. So they're excited to help you do these things. And so I would say, I'm going to bunch that in with SASAH. I'm going to say that trip, that the ability to go somewhere so interesting, so far away, and do something that I think will, sit with me for the rest of my life. I'd say that's probably my favorite. My favorite memory is SASAH student going to Rwanda.
Awesome. I'm actually really glad that you brought up that Rwanda trip, because I feel like a lot of SASAH students have a lot of questions about that and what that's kind of like and how they can go to Rwanda and fit that into their general academic year. I was wondering if you could shed some light on that. What was going to Rwanda like? What was your experience like there? And then coming back, what do you think you kind of learned from that?
Yeah, I could go on and on, but it was, you go for, I think it was about 2 months. And you go just near the end of your school after exams. You spend, I think, May and June in Rwanda. And so it was a fantastic trip. It was led by Henri Boilly, a French professor at Western, and he leads a small group of maybe 12, 13 students. And You're staying in a center. Well, we stayed in a community center, kind of church area, but it was very much just like a hotel, and it was really comfortable. And you're fed, you're looked after every step of the way. But you also are dropped off at these centers, generally for children and families that need just help. And so, I mean, the centers are they're fantastic, filled with really interesting and cool people. And I know it's a cliche that like I went to teach, but then they ended up teaching me. That's a cliche, of course, but there is just so much value in being in just a new environment, in meeting people who you never thought you'd meet, and getting a sense of what it's like in other parts of the world. Like at the time, I was considering a career in international development, and maybe through law, I might ended up still doing that. But being able to see just on the ground what these initiatives look like, how they help, and also just developing like a connection with the people there, with the kids, which was a huge part of my center for homeless youth. Making friends, having conversations. It was an excellent time. I would recommend anyone go. I mean, the prohibitive aspect of it is maybe the cost, which SASAH I think helps you with a bit. SASAH has some travel stipends or travel grants for students as they go. But I would recommend that like everyone who's interested in those kinds of opportunities. They almost seem outlandish. They're so kind of big and out there, and but those are the things that really fit with you when you're done. When it's all said and done, and you're a year after graduation, and you're looking back at this giant chunk of time, those opportunities really they really stay with you.
Wow. Yeah, really well said. So I guess my final question would be then, what advice do you think you have for incoming SASAH students or even current SASAH students? What do you think you'd want to say to them?
Yeah, I'm trying to think now, like what I have wanted to hear maybe back in first year. First of all, just I'd say kind of what I was just saying about taking advantage of opportunities. I'd say be present. Like not only just like keep like a better sleep schedule than you're probably keeping currently, because that was something I really needed to be. But in terms of really getting as much as you can out of your classes, out of your the readings that we're all supposed to be doing, but also these extracurricular activities, these opportunities like trips, when you look back at like the things you remember and the things that really stand out and like where you got value from, it was like those moments where you stepped outside of your comfort zone and you did really interesting things, and things you didn't even know would become these lifelong memories. And so just being present, being aware, and just being excited every day is really the prime ingredient for success.
Agreed, 100% agreed. Especially coming off of my first year, I think that's really good advice, so thank you for that. Well, I think that's all the questions that I had for you for this interview, but I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, Miki. I'm sure SASAH students watching this see it as extremely valuable, and I really, really appreciated you taking the time to do this. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Matthew. It's always fun going down memory lane.
Yeah, I can imagine, for sure. And if any SASAH students watching this and they probably want to get in contact with you and maybe ask you some more questions, how can they do that? How can they reach you?
Well, you can email me at, the best way would be to email me, now I think about it. It would be my Gmail, my personal email is mickeyjuranka@gmail.com. That's MICKEY, like the mouse, JURANKA @gmail.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll probably have that put up somewhere in the description.
On the SASAH page somewhere.
On the SASAH page somewhere, you guys will find it. But Yeah, thank you again so much, Mickey. This has been a really, really amazing pleasure. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm so happy to to help out with SASAH as well. It's great. It's a fun program to talk about.
Definitely. Yeah, no. Yeah, I think it's been excellent. So thanks again, and I'll see you around.